Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit different. This video is going to cover building a new production machine. My current computer is a little long in the tooth. It was built for mostly hand-me-downs or repurposed. I'm kind of the king of doing that. I can take old stuff and I can make it run for years to come. I haven't built a new computer for, I'm going to say, well over a decade. Like it's been a long time. Last time I built a new computer, actually, I had just purchased my own house in Haida Gwaii. So I don't know what that was, 2012, 2010, something like that. Anyway, it was quite a while ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a Ryzen computer, and it's going to have an ATI or Ryzen graphics card in it. I'm going to do an all Ryzen. So this video, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. There's some parts. I'm filming the introduction after I filmed after I got everything and put it all together. I had to use a web camera to film a little bit of it, and then when I did use my camcorder to record some on the workbench, it was poor lighting, and so there's a bit of artifacting, and of course the sound quality isn't consistent throughout because I haven't been using the studio setup to record a lot of this video. So I just wanted to let you know that, but at the end of the day, this video covers sourcing out my parts to build a new engine, a new computer capable of working with Unreal Engine, and the choices I made to do that and how I put it together. I also thought it'd be fun to kind of take some old stuff, repurpose it again, and come up with a Superman theme for this build. I really like my blue RGB, so I incorporate all that in. I also have the dual, I didn't mention it in the rest of the video, but my main monitors are dual 27-inch monitors. I didn't want to go with the 32s. They were a little more pricey, but I did need a dual solution, and I also didn't want them to be much bigger than my workspace. I wanted to be able to still see everything and work on screen with everything. And I think 27s are pretty much the perfect size for me, so that's why I went with those Samsung 27-inch monitors. But anyway, we'll get into the next bit here, and there will be a little bit of hack and chop in this video as you just see kind of what I went through to put together my new editing rig that I'm filming. Okay, so this is just a quick little blurb. I apologize for, I got a new pellet stove in here. It's winter time, so I needed to get something done about the heat. Power bills last year were kind of ridiculous. But what I'm working on now is I've decided with Black Friday that I'm going to build a new computer. So what I've done is I got a free case from CyberPower. Not an expensive case, probably I'd say like $100 special. It's got a cleanable mesh, which I like, magnetic, and it'll fit the machine that I want to build. I want to build a new editing rig. I currently have a Gen 6 Intel, and I thought for the first time in about 20 years I would build myself an Athlon based, an AMD machine. So I believe the last one I built was a Duron, to give you an idea how old that was. So anyway, what I've done is I've taken this black case and I have this neat, very metallic-y, metal flake, blue Superman-y color, which matches pretty good, I think, to my actual Superman color coding. So as you could see, there's a fairly close match in the color, and it's got the metallic-y shine to it that I liked from the Man of Steel movie. So that's what I'm going with, plus all my RGB is blue, and I'll do a setup video once I'm done. But I built a new desk and I built a new setup a little bit. Changed things around a little more in my studio because, you know, they're always an evolving process. But here I've taken the front of that case, and you can see there's a die-cast Superman belt buckle that I've epoxied to the front. And if you could see close, if I turn this different angles, you can see the hexagon pattern behind the blue shiny metal, and it kind of reminds me of the Man of Steel suit again, and that's what gave me the idea to use this particular case. I really like that. So I just wanted to cover that base. There's going to be some more work to be done, and on Black Friday I will be ordering more parts. So there will be this video will be a series of smaller videos cut and paste together to show you out the build process of the new computer. So depending on Black Friday prices, that'll determine just how powerful. Okay, so I'm going to start my new build, and I just wanted to go over my parts list. What you can see in front of you, we'll go from left to right. So from left is the case that I've been working on. There's a little excerpt I'll put in here pretty much immediately after this clip, just where I was spray painting, 3D printed, and glued the Superman symbol to the rest of the case. It's an old CyberPower case that I just refurbished. So it's nothing special, it was free, and I've been able to modify it. Next, at the back behind that is the front of that case where I have the slot removed. But below that I've got a die-cast Superman logo glued to the front of the case. In the very front of the PC case there is a fan controller that I've also painted to make sure that it fits in the 5.5-inch bay at the top of the slot. Behind that is my choice of motherboard. It's an MSI B550 Pro, and it is basically for an AMD Ryzen chip. In front of that is just a RGB soundbar that I'm going to use. I don't need fancy sound. This is going to be my editing rig and my game dev rig, but I will need some form of playback other than headphones. So I opted for a cheap RGB soundbar. It's nothing special. It just was had a good price on Amazon and fits in the space. In front of that, there is the RAM to go in the motherboard. Two identical matched set 2x32 for 64 gig DDR4 RAM. So this machine is going to be a very high RAM machine. It needs to be as an editing and as to work with Unreal 5. I didn't want to bottleneck it from the RAM. I wanted to be able to work in Unreal 5 without any issues. So that's why I chose a large amount of RAM. 128 gigs, I shouldn't have any problems. Very expensive part, but I think that it'll make Unreal development a lot smoother for me. Behind that and to the right, moving on, we have the EVGA 750 80 gold plus power supply. Decent power supply, nothing super spectacular, but gold rated, 80 plus. Pretty much a necessity for anything now. And with my video card that's sitting on top of that, it wanted 600 watts or higher, so I threw a 750 in there just to work the power supply less hard. The video card I chose was an AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT. The price was very good. Comparisons roughly to a 3060 or a 3070, so not too terrible, although some of the reviews I've seen have said it's more like a 2070. But even at that, I'm upgrading from a 1650, so it's significantly got a lot more horsepower under the hood, and it's also the 12 gig version of the RAM, and I really want the video RAM higher, so the 12 gig fell within my price range. It was about a $500 card, so that is going to allow me a lot of bang for my performance. And since I'm not like a high-end Twitch streamer who needs ultra competitive 9,000 frames per second sort of thing, it's going to be more than adequate for what I need. The only issue I may have is I don't know how compatible it is with HitFilm, which is my video editing of choice. So going with an all AMD rig, there is some risks to it, as HitFilm prefers Intel and NVIDIA for ideal optimum working circumstances. So I'll have to see how this performs once we get to there. In front of that, in front of the power supply there's just two USB cables, 10-foot extension, USB-Cs, You can never have too many USB cables when you've got cameras and lights and microphones and everything else going on. So I've just got some high quality braided USB cables there. To the left of that is my WD Black, a 1 terabyte WD Black. I think it's something like 52 or 5500 write speed. So that's going to be my main booting OS drive. I have another WD Black coming, a 500 gig NVMe. That will be my swap disk configuration setup. Then my current drive that I'm using, which is a 1 terabyte A data, that drive is going to go just as an extra SATA dump disk. So none of the cache files, none of the render out file, nothing's going to go there. It's just going to be bulk storage to keep a bunch of working files or archive files on, which will then get backed up with a script to my NAS box every few days or whatever. But it'll be a faster backup spot to do my nightlies and dailies too. To the left, to the right of that is my Logitech mouse, blue themed wireless mouse. It'll fit in with the blue RGB theme I'm going with. Speaking of blue RGB theme, on top of the Ryzen 7, we have a box of 3 blue RGB lights. Those will go in the case, and it'll give me through the front panel a nice blue Superman-y glow. So they're also fairly quiet. Underneath that is Ryzen 7 with a Wraith cooler. It's a Ryzen 7 5700G. Now I didn't really need the G. The X was more money. The G was the best bang for the buck. And then if something does happen with my graphic card or something down the line, I'll be able to just turn that on in the BIOS and have graphics built in until I can get a replacement or something. So it's a little bit of forward compatibility and a little cheaper the price. So it's going to give me my 8 cores, 16 threads. So I'm going to be pretty happy with that. I think my benchmarks will show it. The only other thing not shown here is that I have this. I'm just going to pick it up. I have this Noctura cooler. Now it's Intel or AMD. The only thing with it is it has by default an AM3 mounting plate to it, hardware mounting plate. And I had to order a different one, an AM4. So hopefully that gets here in just a few days, and then I will more than likely use that. But if it doesn't show up, or if the one I've ordered isn't compatible, I can still use the Wraith cooler that comes with the AMD Ryzen chip. So there you have it. That's what my build's going to be. I'll probably do a speed build run just to show step by step where I'm at. I'm not going to show the whole build. A lot of people have computer build videos out there, but I'll probably do a speed run just to show you how I'm doing it. Anyway, stay tuned for that. Okay, so we've got the system set up, and I'm just going to try and pull out as far as I can here. So what we've done is I've got my bench custom made. Here's my 2 monitors there. Here's my 50-inch screen up there. Come over to here, and there is my audio microphone, which I might end up moving for sound because I pick up a lot of the pellet stove and the server noise, so I may have to do something a little different with that. Then I've also got the web camera there with the ring light for it, for if I'm zooming in on some physical stuff that we need to explore. Then there's on the desk we've got the NVMe external hard drive. Behind that whole setup there, you can just see it peeking out there, is a Western Digital 6 terabyte drive. Keyboards, the white keyboard and mouse are for the 50-inch TV. I'm probably going to move those somewhere. It's just because I like to keep my YouTube off my production machine. The blue RGB keyboard and the blue mouse are for my editing rig here. And now I'm just going to try to lower down so you could see the finished build. RGB on the floor there, running to the case. So there you can see that's better. Now you can see the case finished. You got the Superman symbol on there, the blue RGB happening, glowing through it, and on the front of the case you could see where that pattern was that I liked, and the blue RGB coming through from there. Fan controller above it at the top, and the Superman diecast symbol. So there is my new build, and now we'll get back to game dev. Thank you very much.